had a bit of a rough time. We brought the S14 out. I got about 3 laps in before I noticed that we were having some mixing issues with coolant oil, as well as coolant in the cylinders. So we ended up parking the car for the event, having some guys from Enjuku run the R32 up. They ended up driving overnight Thursday and getting it to us early Friday morning so we could get some practice laps in and go into battles for qualifying. So we ended up finding the issue on the engine was a cracked cylinder head. So we replaced the cylinder head with just another stalker we had, threw a different set of cans in it, got the car retuned, made great power. Unfortunately, didn't get any testing time before we were able to come out, but the dyno session went well, so we loaded the car up, as well as the R32 just in case, and brought it up here to Wall so we can run for round 4. Friday morning, we come in, everything's feeling great, get the car warmed up, and then we're ready for our practice session. We get an hour-and-a-half practice right before qualifying, got about 6 more laps in, the car's feeling great, I'm ready, and we go into qualifying. Second up to qualify, had a pretty good run. The judges gave me an 81 for the first run. I had a little bit of bobbles here and there, but all in all, it was a pretty decent run. They gave me an 81 for it, and so we were like, all right, let's try and go a little bit harder if we can for the second run. Second run comes out, I pushed a little too hard, I get a little washy, and ended up getting a 78 on my second score, not bettering my first, but it was enough to get us into 30th position for qualifying and put us up against Dai Yoshihara for battles for top 32 on Saturday. Moving into Saturday, we get an hour-and-a-half session of tandem practice before going into our battles. Got about 4 or 5 laps in, feeling great. The car's feeling good. Dialing in even more grip. Just make sure that we can keep the pace with everyone and make sure that I've got a good line coming into my lead for Dai when we go to battle. Battle, I'm to follow first Dai, and I'm on him. I'm just trying to drive as close to him as I can, mimic his line, mimic his angle as best I can. Do everything I can to just stay with him, not let him pull a gap on me. Run a great line with him, and then now we go to switch positions and I go to lead. Pulling out to my lead, I ended up going and bumping the wall initiation a bit, so it kind of pushed me down a hair. Came down a bit early, then a little more than I wanted to. Was able to hold the car up a little bit better than I think he did in his chase. So is Kevin Lawrence. Now comes out. contact with me through the last inner clip.
Dive lunges to the side of the S chassis.
Just because I kind of slowed down there, the car wanted to over-rotate, but I was able to save it, and then him kind of bumping me kind of helped it as well. So. Judges deliberated for a bit over it, ended up deeming us one more time battle. So we went back in, the guys changed the tires for me, we topped off fuel, and we're ready for our next battle. Moving into our one more time, again, I'm to follow first, and I knew that I had a really good lead and follow for the last battle, so I was just trying to do the same again if I could. Got a little overzealous and entered super close to him. Had to kind of give him some space, reel him back in, and kind of reel him in a bit too aggressively right before the end of the bank. Dive into him pretty hard into outer zone 2, and unfortunately made a bit of a mistake and over-rotated the car some. He was able to pull a bit of a gap on me there. I had to kind of short line it to catch back up again. Catching up to him as much as I could for the finish line. Moving into now my lead for the one more time. Again, entered high on the bank. Just ran as high as I could. Jumping off, ended up coming down super tight on inner clip. Running into the second outer zone. Car get a little skaty there, but was able to keep on line. I think I lifted tires just a hair on the inner bank.
That touch and go, Yoshihara. Yoshihara taking a very shallow line. It's going wide.
Pull up to the line after we finished the second half of our battle. The judges were deliberating for a bit, and unfortunately my mistakes and my follow run in the first half of the battle were just a bit worse than anything that he did. So the judges deemed Dai the win, which was definitely in his favor. He had an amazing lead run with me, a great follow, and he earned the win, so he moves on to the top 16. Unfortunately ending our weekend a bit early, but we had an amazing weekend. The car held together. All of our changes that we did worked perfectly for the car. I was able to get super comfortable with it, and we had just an awesome weekend overall. So heads high moving into the second half of the season. Monroe is going to be the next round, which is one of my favorite tracks. So try and get some testing time in before and go out there and just kind of guns blazing. Just huge shout out to the team. We put a lot of work in between the last round and this one to get the car together just in time to make it out here. Huge shout out to Martin for squeezing us in to get us on the dyno just in time before he was leaving on his vacation, just before we literally had to load the car in and start heading up here for the next round. Thanks to all the sponsors. Obviously Enjuku Racing is our home base, BC Racing Competition Clutch. A huge shout out to Koenig for getting me some extra wheels shipped up here just in time, and the guys from Ferocious helped me out huge beginning of the season for sending in a bunch of fabrication components after our wreck in Long Beach to keep us on track for the season. Huge shout out to the guys over at Achilles for having our tires ready. Every time we bring a set over, they got us knocked out real quick. The tires they provide for us are absolutely amazing. I'm actually running super high pressures than what we normally would run, and the tires are holding together for 2 laps. The car's amazingly fast, so again, shout out to those guys for having just an amazing product for us. We really appreciate all their help. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys watching. Keep an eye out for Monroe. That's gonna be our next round in about 3 or 4 weeks or so. So check into the live stream and cheer us on. Appreciate it.